In today's video, we're taking you to the top of Valravn, 200 feet above Cedar Point, and behind the scenes at Millennium Force, Top Thrill 2, and even seeing an old friend, all part of Cedar Point's Sunrise VIP Tour. Good morning from Cedar Point, it's Hyde. I'm here at one of my absolute favorite parks for the Sunrise VIP Tour. As you can tell by the name and the lack of cars, it starts very early. Tour starts at 7:30 sharp, which meant an early morning wake-up call to get here from Detroit. Heads up, you do need to book the tour in advance. You can't just show up to a park this early. You can book it online, and at the end of the video, we'll talk about if we thought it was worth the price tag. About 7:30 in the morning, and we're making our way to Valravn. No one else in the park. Let's jump right in and head through this empty park to Valravn, where we're going to the top of the ride's over 200-foot tall lift hill. We had to get harnessed up. More on that in a second. Then it was a quick ride to the top. No stairs, we took a funicular all the way up. Once you got to the top, you can see you're harnessed in, and the path is actually pretty wide, and it's solid. You can't see down, which made it less terrifying than you might expect it to be. We had about 10 minutes up here to take as many photos and videos as we want, and to take in this view. Being that the ride's in the middle of the park, it's a perfect view. We also learned how Valravn works. Now you see those two brakes there, that's not actually what holds it at the top. What holds you from falling as you hang over the edge is that chain lift. That's right, it's not a brake holding you over the edge, it's actually a slow moving chain lift. There was a great view of Siren's Curse, which was still under construction when we filmed this. Still pretty early, so only a few rides were testing. But check out this view of Top Thrill 2 from 223 feet in the air. Even from this high up, the ride still looks huge, which, considering it is twice as tall as the height we're at. The most terrifying part was walking back to the funicular, where you had to walk over a few open grate steps that had a clear view 200 feet down. Once back down on the ground, we got a full behind-the-scenes tour of Valravn. Got to go underneath where the brake pumps are, and then into the maintenance shed where we got to see where they work on a lot of the parts for the ride. Our guide then explained the various parts of a roller coaster, from the wheels to the chain dogs to the anti-rollbacks. Next, we headed up to the train storage and maintenance bay area. Now, yeah, you can see all the mayflies. It was prime mayfly season when we filmed this. Lots of birds in here as well. But this is where they do all the work on the trains. And now, you've noticed there's no track. The trains actually roll back onto those rails, those beams you see on either side there. You can kind of see them right there, what's on the left of the screen. The train rolls off the track and onto those beams so they have easy access to work on the wheels. We spent a few minutes watching them do their various tests of where they start and stop the ride to ensure all the safety features work. We then headed over to the Grand Pavilion for breakfast. At this point it was about 8:30, 8:45, and the park was getting ready to open. They gave us a meal deal voucher to use for breakfast, and the breakfast here was great. Got this chicken biscuit with tots. About 30 minutes for breakfast, and then we headed over to Millennium Force just as the park was getting ready to open. And this is the next kind of part of the tour, going backstage at a few of the key rides. We started the behind the scenes look by going underneath the load station, which gave us a unique opportunity to see how the elevator cable lift system works. It was neat to actually go into some restricted areas. We were just feet from the coaster, and you can see here the catch car rolling back into position and then starting to pull the ride up the hill. This is it leaving the station and starting its journey. New for 2025 is an updated lift motor, which allows the ride to go a little faster up the hill, which means it gives a little faster of a ride. You can see here, this is the core kind of component of the lift system. And that giant weight at the bottom of the three wheels keeps tension on the cable because the cable runs all underneath the ride there and then up the tower and down the track to the catch car. We spent about 10 minutes standing underneath Millennium Force's hill from various angles, and it was just mesmerizing. The tower is really cool looking, and watching the train go in and around the whole area at 93 miles an hour was awesome. And we got to stand over there as a train passed, which was really cool. A fun benefit of the tour is immediate access to some key rides, including Millennium Force, where they walked us up the exit, put us on the train at unload, no waiting in a fast lane line or anything, and you got to ride the train from unload to load, which was pretty cool. And at 25 years old, the ride's running better than ever. It was then time to head towards Top Thrill 2, but with a few fun stops along the way. Anyone remember the old Mantis entrance? Yeah, you had to cross the train tracks. Speaking of Mantis, a lot of great views of Rougarou as we walked along the train tracks here. Got up close with views I never saw of the ride. And then as a big Cedar Point fan, it was a big highlight of the tour for me. We got to pose with the infamous Boneville scene, the firefighting scene. And here's the funny thing, while we were getting the behind the scenes details, a train actually showed up and came by, and the scene actually went off as we were just standing right there. Our trek towards Top Thrill 2 got some great views of the coasters and came across the Boneyard where they store some of the dead ride cemetery vehicles for Hollow weekends. Nice to see the Mantis car and stand up with it again. The tour guide referred to this area as the jungle, the area between Rougarou and Top Thrill 2. And honestly, I didn't realize how big of an area this was and how dense it was with vegetation. I spied some old paddle wheel props. It was really neat to walk all under Iron Dragon, and again, this area was really big. You never realize how much area Cedar Point has between Rougarou and Dragster. And also, how easy it would be to walk from one side of the park if they built some kind of path through this, because it saves you a lot of time versus walking all the way down and around by Corkscrew. And then we made it to Top Thrill 2. This is the first time I've ever seen this ride actually run, so it was really neat to see from this perspective, such as standing along the brake run and watching it go up the backwards spike, as well as standing in the infield watching it launch and roll back. We got some really great perspectives of the ride standing this close to it. The tour ended with us getting backdoored on Top Thrill 2, which means they walked us up the exit and we didn't even have to wait. Not even fast lane or anything. Within minutes of walking up to the ride, we were on the ride. My first ever ride on it, and I really enjoyed it. Probably prefer the intensity of that 120 mile per hour launch on the original one, but this one's a lot of fun. So at the $250 price point per person, which I should mention does not include park admission, is it worth it? I think so, but let's review everything that's included. Top lift access to Valravn, which is really neat and a one-of-a-kind experience. If you're a big Cedar Point fan, you'll really love going to all the off-limit places like under Millennium Force, seeing the old rides, or my favorite, seeing Boneville. You also get immediate boarding, which means walking up the exit with next to no wait on Millennium Force, Top Thrill 2, and Siren's Curse. In addition, you get breakfast, like I mentioned earlier, as well as a meal voucher for later. We used it for a late lunch at the farmhouse kitchen. And then you also get 2 single-use fast lane pluses per person. Of course, we wanted to ride Steel Vengeance, so we used one there. And then we used the other one to get on Valravn to see where we were. Wouldn't be a Cedar Point video if we didn't speculate about the future. The Snake River Falls area and Frontier Fling area, that's a big open space. Would love to see a giant wooden roller coaster here. Thanks for watching, and if you're a big Cedar Point fan, can't recommend the Sunrise Tour enough.